Friday morning went by slowly, mostly because I was so looking forward to seeing Jamie again that time seemed to slow to a crawl. In the afternoon I forced myself to focus on my work and that made the time go by much quicker. I arrived at Jamie's hotel and knocked on the door. She cracked open the door but didn't open it all the way. "Give me 10 seconds then come in." Curious, I did as requested, and entered into an empty room. I knew she was there, obviously, so I just waited. After about 5 minutes, she called from the bathroom. "Sorry about having you stand there. It's hard to make an entrance in a hotel room like this. Are you ready?" "Yeah, honey." She stepped out of the bathroom and I was blown away. "I take from your slack-jawed stare that you like what you see." She flashed a wide smile then walked over to me and put her arms around me. "And I'm all yours, Henry. But just so we're clear, I like to dress up when my man takes me out. But just because I look this good doesn't mean you're getting any tonight, okay? We're still gonna do this right. I just like all those other guys that look at me to be jealous of my guy. Are you okay with that or would you rather I toned it down? As long as I'm the only." "Don't worry, Henry. I would never disrespect you by cheating with another man. And if someone tries it without my okay, he will regret it, I promise you that." I was, of course, completely underdressed. We went back to my apartment, and Jamie waited patiently while I took a quick shower and changed into something more appropriate for our eventual destination. I'll never understand what my sister was thinking, seeing the look on my face after she said that she realized what she had done. "I'm sorry, baby, that was inconsiderate of me. I know what she did still hurts even if you don't have feelings for her anymore. I'll try to never bring it up again. Forgive me. It took me a long time to build up some self-confidence after that and you have done wonders for that in just 24 hours. So of course I forgive you, Jamie." We came together and kissed again. "At this rate we'll never leave. Let's get going." I took her hand and we went down to my truck. I helped her into the truck, and then we went to dinner. I knew we wouldn't get much quality conversation once we got to the club, so this was the opportunity. "How'd you get into ice skating?" I asked. I was kind of a pudgy kid, but couldn't find any physical activity that interested me. Tara was always moving, and was more naturally athletic than I was, and of course she's so damn tall, so she had success at basketball and volleyball. One day I saw a figure skating competition on TV and was hooked. I would pretend I was a skater at the Olympics. Mom finally got me down to the local ice rink, and I took to it like a fish to water. "Did you try for the Olympics?" I would have liked that, but I got kind of a late start, and wasn't prepared to spend the necessary amount of time on the ice. By the time I thought about doing it for a living my window had passed, but was still able to get work at amusement parks, and then, of course, Disney. "How's your relationship with your parents?" Tara was always gushing about how great they were. They were great to her. I imagine you and I had similar experiences. Everything Tara did was perfect. It got tiresome to go to parties and be introduced as Tara and Tara's sister. I had a few Michael's brother moments myself. Maybe that's how we ended up perfect for each other. "You think we're perfect for each other?" Jamie's bright blue eyes were shining as she looked at me, awaiting an answer to her question. "Well, I can't speak for you, I guess, but so far I think you're perfect for me, yes?" We had finished eating by this point so could leave any time. "Henry, it's time for us to leave and go dancing." We quickly found our way to a dance club, and we didn't even find a table or a spot at the bar. Jamie dragged me to the dance floor. Even with the up-tempo songs we never stopped touching each other entirely. We went for a solid 30 minutes before she was ready to find a table and take a break. We found a small table in the corner, and I went in search of drinks, a draft for me, white wine for her. By the time I got back there were 2 guys trying to put the moves on. She was being nice but was completely disinterested. I put her glass on the table, and asked the guys to excuse us, meaning leave. "Hey man, the little lady was here all alone and we were here first. You can have a turn if there's anything left when we're done." I laughed out loud, which for some reason seemed to offend him. "Something funny? Only you thinking you have any chance with a woman that looks like that. I hate to disappoint you boys, but this one doesn't take credit cards, so I suggest you find a woman more in your class." Without warning the guy on my left took a swing at me, but he was drunk and I dodged it easily, and his momentum carried him all the way to the ground as his buddy watched with a dumb look on his face. He yelled as he got back on his feet. He turned back toward me, and by now I had set my drink on the table, and was ready for him. I guess he thought better of it and just walked away. "Thank you, baby, for the drink and for the rescue. Let me know when you're ready to hit the floor again." "Anytime you are." We danced the rest of the night away without incident. It was nearly 1 a.m. when we left. We had each had a few drinks, but it was spread out over several hours, so we had no problem driving home. I walked her to her door, and we spent another several minutes outside her hotel room making out. The halls were deserted and we were not bothered. Finally she pulled back. How about picking me up at 11 o'clock and we'll get lunch first? Perfect. Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. I woke up about 9 a.m. on Saturday morning to my phone ringing in my ear. It was Jamie. Hey baby, didn't we say 11 o'clock? I'm outside your door. Ah, okay. Hang on. I crawled out of bed. I opened the door and a very fresh-looking Jamie came in and jumped into my arms, pressing her lips to mine. I couldn't wait until 11 o'clock to see you. I wanted to be with you as soon as I woke up, but I forced myself to shower and get pretty for you. Now get ready. We're going to breakfast first. I jumped into the shower as I tried to wake up. This was definitely a good sign. I was falling hopelessly and completely in love with Jamie. She was beautiful, sure, but she was such a sweet person, and she just made my heart flutter whenever I even thought about her. I got dressed and joined Jamie in the living room. We kissed again and then walked out to the truck hand in hand. We had breakfast at a local diner that was one of my favorites, and then we looked at a few apartments, getting the rates for 6-month and 1-year leases, and I had a good sense of what Jamie's favorites were. We finally settled on one that was not too far from my place, and she signed a 6-month lease. The apartment was ready for immediate move-in and we spent the afternoon doing just that, and she was well settled before dark. Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. In the back of my mind I always had that same thought. Would things have been different for Tara and I if I had actually proposed? Or at the least if we had started living together? Obviously there was no way to answer that, but I didn't plan to let my relationship with Jamie suffer the same fate. About a month later, we were spending the day together and had stopped to get some coffee. I couldn't stop myself from staring at her, and I was struck, as I always was, by how beautiful she was. For reasons even I don't understand, I suddenly pulled her into a kiss with me. Suddenly we became aware we were doing this in the middle of Starbucks and it might be a good idea to take it somewhere else. No more words were said until we got back to my apartment. We walked in the door and I stopped her. Jamie, my love, I have bad news for you. What's that? Your plan on isn't going to happen. I picked her up and, can you guess what happens next? Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. After that we were together every night. We still had 2 apartments to pay for until her lease ran out, making it nothing more than a very expensive storage unit. But it wasn't a hardship for us. Between my good salary and her savings, we were married just a couple of months after I proposed. Jamie did eventually want to have a big ceremony, but we decided to get married soon as possible once we learned the presence of my baby. She was 6 months along when she cornered me. Baby, I need to ask a huge favor of you. Sure honey, I won't deny you anything but another man, and I know you won't ask for that, so whatever you want you can have it. Don't be so quick to say that, you might regret it. Okay, Jamie, what's this huge favor? We're about to have this beautiful baby girl, and I can hardly wait. But I'm a new mother and I'm scared about being able to do okay, at least at first. And it's also going to be getting even more difficult these next few months until she comes out. I know you'll be great, baby, but anything you think will help I'm all for. She paused, looking at the floor briefly before raising her eyes to meet mine. Henry, Tara has offered to move here and help me through the rest of the pregnancy, and to be here to help with the baby. I had suspected something like this would come up eventually. Jamie and Tara spoke on the phone at least a few times a week and often more than once a day. They were very close and I had resolved early on that I would not try to come between them in any way, and I loved Jamie with every inch of my soul. My answer was easy. I think she should stay here in the spare room until the baby is born, and then we can help her find a place nearby once we need that room for the nursery. The look of worry on Jamie's face turned into one of pure joy and love for me in an instant. She gave me a kiss that would bring a statue to life. Tara moved in 2 weeks later and they were both thrilled. That night Jamie asked me to come into the living room and sit down. Tara was there as well. You two need to have a real conversation. I'll be in our room, baby. We both quietly watched her waddle down the hall. I must have been glowing as I watched her walk away. You really love her, don't you, Henry? I don't think you ever looked at me like that. I do, more than I can express in words. I guess I owe you a thank you for pointing her in my direction. I love her so much, and despite what you might think, Henry, I love you too. I'm thrilled you guys are happy together. You know, Tara, I was angry at you for a long time, and what you did to me hurt a lot. The fact that it was Michael made it even worse, even though you had no idea about our history. He was my brother and that should have been some sort of barrier for you, but it wasn't. That was very painful. I realize that now, Henry. I was young and stupid and didn't realize what I had in you. Just like you and Michael, Jamie is younger but she is far more mature than I am. I was caught up in some exciting feelings, and I ruined us. I actually went through some counseling and I'm doing better, but not quite ready to look for a relationship now. But I am very sorry about what I did. You know, Tara, I've actually forgiven you. Having to date my brother and getting cheated on yourself is probably punishment enough. I'm glad you're here to support Jamie, and I hope you stay in the area long after Jamie needs you. Thank you, Henry, that really does mean a lot to me. I was afraid our issues might create a problem. I'm glad we've moved past them. No worries, Tara. I would do anything for Jamie, so we're good. One question. Did you tell my family where I am? No. I figured that was your information to share or not to share, as it were. They do have my phone number, and they do know I was moving where you were, but that's all they know. Our issues out in the open and finally resolved. Tara and I stood up and gave each other a long hug. She did whisper one thing in my ear as we embraced. I'll always think about what might have been for us. Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. Just over 2 months later, Veronica Isabella Weston joined the world at a solid 7 pounds, 7 ounces. She was as perfect as a baby can be, and Jamie took to motherhood like a fish to water. She probably didn't need Tara, but enjoyed having her around. When Roni was about 3 months old, Tara started dating one of the other low-level guys that I worked with. One of the things that started Tara and I dating was that I was as tall as she was. She had said she could never date anyone shorter than she was. I thought basing life decisions on that kind of genetic roll of the dice seemed shallow even then, but it helped me, so I kept my mouth shut. Her new guy, Todd, stands only 5'8" to her 6'0", so I'm hoping that means she really has grown up. It wasn't long after Tara started seeing Todd that she and Jamie appeared in the lobby of my office with Roni in tow. I was paged and went up to sign them in. The looks on their faces concerned me. What's happened? It's Michael, Tara said. Is that all? You bothered me at work for that man. Henry, he was killed. Okay, that stopped me in my tracks. Let's go into the conference room, ladies, so we can start at the beginning. We sat at the table and Jamie handed me my baby girl. Jamie went nowhere without her, and they were both frequent visitors here. Okay, from the beginning. I got a call from your parents about 30 minutes ago, explained Tara. They had just been notified that Michael's convoy was attacked by rebels in some valley. The vehicle he was traveling in was hit. He didn't make it. I was immediately suspicious of my parents' motives. It was kind of sad, really, that I thought like that. And why did they decide to share this information? What do they want? Mostly, Henry, they wanted you to know. Your dad said they understand they were wrong to minimize what happened with me and Michael. He was your only brother and they know you didn't like him very much. They have no expectations of you coming there or anything. They seem to hope it might lead you to let go of some anger, maybe do some healing. I looked in my baby's eyes. Jamie and I certainly had plans for more of these little angels. We've been talking about having at least 3 and maybe 4. I had vowed, when Jamie got pregnant, that I would never do to my kids what Mom had done to me and Michael. But I realized I couldn't be the example I needed to be, the father I needed to be, by hanging on to this anger I had for my now dead brother. I had to let it go. I looked up from Rona's little blue eyes and into those of my beautiful wife. She gave me a little smile and a nod, like she knew where my mind was leaning and that it was okay. Tara, you'll need to arrange some time off. Let them know a family member that was a war hero is coming home for burial and you shouldn't have any problems. Baby, you look into flights to take us back home. I'm going to head over to HR and see about a short leave of absence. Jamie walked over to me and gently put her arms around me, hugging our baby at the same time. She looked into my eyes. It's the right thing to do, baby. I would have supported you no matter what you decided to do, but you made the right choice. I hoped she was right. Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. Since I had nothing that couldn't be handled in my absence, and because it was a dead Marine coming home, I had no problems getting time off. Tara had the same experience at the hospital she had been working at. Jamie was a stay-at-home mom, so we were all set. Mom and Dad greeted us at the airport. They looked haggard, like they hadn't slept well. This was the first time they had seen their granddaughter in person, and Mom took control of the baby immediately. I hoped Roni could provide her a little comfort. Death has a way of washing over old hurts and wounds. When I first heard Tara say that Michael had been killed, suddenly none of the other stuff mattered. It was horrible to go through at the time, but it simply didn't compare to the finality of death, and continuing to hold on to those feelings was doing no one any good. Jamie, Tara, and I took turns hugging each of my folks. Nothing was said beyond basic greetings at this point. I headed to the rental counter and picked up our car. We had brought our infant seat on the plane, and it installed easily into the rental as well. Jamie rode in the back seat with Veronica and Mom rode in the passenger seat, while Tara rode with Dad in their car. We got back to the house and settled in. Jamie and I had reserved a hotel, mostly for nights so the baby could sleep, but also in case I needed some place to escape to. Tara was bunking in Michael's old room. Dad's sister and Mom's brother and their spouses would be arriving tomorrow. Jamie and Tara took the baby over to the hotel to get our things settled and leaving me alone with two people I had no intention of seeing or speaking to ever again. Mom spoke first. "Henry, thank you for coming. I know things have been bad since the thing with Tara, so I want you to know I appreciate you being here. No use holding a grudge against him anymore. I guess it's a good thing Tara kept in touch. Can we try and put this behind us, Henry? You're the only son I have left now. I want to change things for us, and I want to be in my granddaughter's life. I won't keep you from your grandchildren, Mom, but for you and me it will be more difficult." I was put behind Michael every time, and either you don't realize it, or just don't want to acknowledge it. I don't know, but I'm not going to keep subjecting myself to the "you're not Michael" stuff again. You're absolutely right, Henry. I had an overly optimistic view of Michael. It was finally brought to my attention when you left us behind. What do you mean by brought to your attention? She glanced over at my father, and he looked back at her, but he remained silent as always. Henry, I know you probably think your father was a weak man, but nothing could be further from the truth. Do not mistake his kindness for weakness. He tried to always be kind to me, and perhaps he took that to extremes sometimes in supporting me when it came to you boys. I think that's an understatement, Mom. But go on. After you left, your father and I had a terrible fight. He pointed out that I had driven you away by always favoring Michael, and with you, our best chance at grandchildren. Michael wasn't the settling down sort. I'm sure you know that. Tara probably came closest to taming him. They seemed so good together, and I let that blind me to what he had done to you. I guess I was always blind when it came to Michael. I'm sure my words ring hollow at this point, now that Michael is gone, but I'm very sorry for how I treated you. Son, I have no excuse for it. You've always been a good, strong, young man with integrity, and I didn't appreciate it. I hope that one day you can forgive me. Mom was trying hard to hold back the tears being shed for the combination of Michael's death and her realization of how she had harmed our relationship. I moved over and sat next to her. Mom, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still angry with everything I had to put up with, but I appreciate how difficult it was for you to apologize. I can't say everything is better, but it's good first step. I hugged my mom for the first time in a long time. Within a couple of days the family had gathered, and was either staying at the house or in nearby hotels. Mom and Dad, as well as all the other older relatives, spent a lot of quality time with Roni, and I think Jamie appreciated the respite. We finally got word that Michael had been returned to the US, and they were in the process of completing the transfer to the nearest base for the final transfer home. No matter what else Michael was, he was a man that sacrificed himself in defense of our country and for our freedom, and I would always respect him for that. When Michael was finally taking his final plane ride, we all dressed in our finest and drove, along with our military escort, to the base. Say what you will about the military, but they don't skimp on the ceremony. Less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than less than greater than. The next few days were spent in memory of Michael. I did my best to participate, even trying to laugh at some of the things Michael did that I was the victim of and brushing them off as brotherly antics that ultimately went too far. It arrived on the last day we were scheduled to be there. Since my family didn't know my address, it had been mailed to Mom and Dad's house, with a request that they try to find some way to get it to me. It was a letter from Michael. Dad handed me the well-worn envelope. Mail service from overseas took a while, and from the dates we found it had been mailed 2 days before the attack that ended Michael's life. I stared at it for a long time. Frankly, I was afraid to open it. Knowing Michael as I did, I was sure it was some rant about what a punk I was for running away from my family, and how I deal with losing my girl to the better man. I had actually managed to generate some fond memories and feelings for him over the last several days, and I didn't want to ruin it. As always, it was my darling wife that set me on the right path. It's his last words to his family, honey, and more specifically to you. No matter what it says, you have to open it. You know your baby, and I will be here to support you no matter what. I turned to Jamie and gave her several short kisses on her lips. She was right, of course. We went into my former bedroom, and I slit open the envelope. Henry, my brother, I spent a long time thinking about how to start this letter, but never really came up with anything special. Smarts was always your department anyway. I've been thinking about what happened a lot. For what it's worth, I really did feel something special for her. I didn't set out to be with my brother's girlfriend. I really did feel that connection, and I was in love. Of course, I screwed that up just like I did everything else. Later, part of me reasoned that I had done you a favor. Hadn't I helped by showing you who she was? I thought to myself, I know, you're right, I was, and probably still am, but I hope to change that. I decided to write this letter because I needed to say some things to you. I was out on a patrol the other day, and we came under fire. A couple of guys were wounded and we were outgunned. But none of us ever thought about retreating because our unit was there for each other in the face of death. We were a band of brothers and that was what we did. When we got back and were debriefed, it was like a light bulb went on in my head. Here I was in a foreign country willing to lay down my life for the guys in my unit. But I had just months ago done the unforgivable to my own real brother. I treated these guys better than I treated you. I regret that more than I can express. Henry, you probably don't believe this, but I love you. I was the older brother and I thought I was supposed to treat you like crap. But I hope you know that I didn't let anyone else do that. Do you remember that fight I got into at school, where I ended up getting in school suspension for 3 days? I told you it was because Vince had said something about my girlfriend. The truth is they were talking crap about you. And that wasn't okay. I don't tell you this so you'll suddenly think I'm so great, but when I rotate home again I'd like to see if we can rebuild our relationship, and I want you secure in the knowledge that I know I was wrong, and can admit it. I got a chance to meet Tara's sister, Jamie, when she came to town. I heard you guys got married and that I'm an uncle to a little girl. I can't wait to meet her. I would be a crappy father, but I know you'll be the best one ever. I'm glad you could give mom and dad grandchildren knowing I probably never will. Try to forgive them. Thank you for reading this. I know you probably thought about just tossing it without opening it, and I would have deserved that. Take care of yourself and your beautiful wife and daughter. You're the finest man I've ever known. Love, Michael. Tears were streaming down my face as I finished the letter. At some point Jamie had wrapped her arms around me, and the baby had fallen asleep on the bed next to me. I turned and took Jamie in my arms, and hugged her for what seemed like forever. We put off our return to home for a few more days, as we worked on rebuilding our family a little bit more. I finally relented, and gave mom and dad my address so we can write, and so they can some visit their grandchild. It was the right thing to do and Jamie, as always, gave me her full support. Thank God for her. Our flight landed at 9:37 p.m. and by the time we got back to our apartment we were all exhausted. We put the baby to bed in her crib. Jamie fell asleep quickly but I couldn't seem to drop off. I lay there for a couple hours until Jamie apparently woke, and saw my eyes open. Have you slept at all? No, baby, I can't seem to. What's bothering you? I wish I knew. The trip back home went better than I could possibly have expected. Everything is going great. I have a beautiful woman that I love more than life itself, a perfect healthy baby that I love just as much, and a great job. Everything is perfect, and yet here I lay unable to get to sleep. Maybe you're scared. I turned my head to look directly into her eyes. Scared of what? You've told me before that something always seems to go wrong in your life. You just said yourself that things are perfect. I think you're scared of something going wrong. You may be right. I guess I am worried about something happening, but I don't have anything I'm specifically afraid of. Baby, life isn't perfect. Things will go wrong. The car will break down, or Roni will get sick, or whatever. All we can do is enjoy the good we have now, and deal with the bad when it comes along. You are right, baby. Thank you for being my voice of reason. I love you. I love you too, baby. She brought her lips to mine, and that's precisely what we did.